this meeting to order. The first item is to review and approve the previous month's meetings. Everybody kind of let me know when you had a chance to look at these. Good. All right, so if I had a chance to review, do I hear a motion we accept the minutes from the September 17th meeting?
Make a motion.
Oh, motion, I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, minutes are in the record book. All right, for the next item on the agenda, Mr. Ed Hawkins to give us a little update on My Mountain.
Well, we've got just about all the main lines in, the 6 and 8 inch lines. They were tying in, Katie did this morning. We've got the bore under the road right below Brian's house, you know, from My Mountain Road to Katie did. They done that last week. And I'm just in the neighborhood, 800 to 1,000 feet left of the main lines, Kurt, somewhere in that neighborhood.
You know, there's some, I don't know what the division is between the 2 inch and the 6 and 8. There was, what was it, a week or two ago, when they were coming back up towards the front of My Mountain entrance. There was a mile in, but that included 2 inch lines. So
Right, now, and
if you're probably right, it's probably near 1,000 feet of
right,
6
the
or
main,
8.
and they've done Snowy Road yet, Monday. And got the 2 inch in on it. And mostly just the little off roads, you know, the 2 inch. And it's down on the end of, down at Cut Cane today, moving the fence over and all, getting ready to tie it into Cut Cane in the Blue Ridge system. You know, so we're looking at that next. So it's going along pretty good, I think. Like real good.
If you were guessing and we had good weather, what do you think as far as being ready to start tying into houses? No.
It's all going to depend on the booster pump station.
And they're supposed to start framing it tomorrow, is what they told me this morning.
Yeah, and I got something for y'all to look at on that, but I would say a month. You know, we could have done it a little quicker if the booster pump station was in. They finished up the concrete work on the tank on Monday, I believe. They got about a week left to put ladders in, some of the accessories and stuff, but you know, we'll want to paint the tank before we put water in. Otherwise, you know, you're gonna get a lot of moisture and stuff on the outside. So I would say a month. We'd probably be tying houses in.
Depends on the weather, you know.
Sure.
You know, it's unpredictable this time of the year.
Sure is.
That brings up a question for me then. Not everybody has sent back the information as to whether they want the new lines, the existing lines. So do we want to send out an email or another letter to make sure we get a response from everybody? What's the question, answer to that?
My thought on that is I'll let y'all decide. If they don't answer, the default becomes we're going to tie you in at the meter.
Okay.
You know, if you don't give us instructions to take it to your house, the default, you know, we're not going to go on private property unless we're instructed to. Is kind of my stance on things.
I agree. I think that's what we decided.
Yeah, that is what we
Set
decided.
up an appointment with you and.
So if we don't hear back from you, we're just going to tie you in at the meter as soon as we can find, I should say, as soon as we can find the line coming into your
So do we still need to talk to them about where the line is going into their property, if they've not responded?
Everybody's been notified.
They've been notified.
Okay.
They've not all responded, but they've been
Yeah.
notified.
And I'm sure the media will reiterate that point, so.
Yeah,
From
but
today's
if we need to
meeting.
do anything special, y'all, basically, they need to let us know, otherwise we're gonna assume that they're fine with us tying them in.
I think we just need to proceed like we're going.
I
I
agree.
mean, if we have a problem finding the line going into the house, we can hit those on a case-by-case basis and get in touch with those people, but I think for the most part, they can find it.
There are a couple houses that are backfed off certain roads. I think there's some on My Mountain Road near the top of the hill that are fed turkey trot, but there may be some like that where we have to reach out to them.
That's about it. I think it's on schedule myself. Doing good.
Good deal. You guys, you hear anything out of the community up there as far as,
No, sir, we did
everybody
it,
seems pretty happy with so far?
Yeah.
Great.
Condition of the roads is good. We got a little bit of settling and stuff, but we've got a punch list ready for Smith to address when they start doing the tie-ins and everything. For the most part, with the letter that y'all put together and sent out, we went ahead and sent it to our entire email list, whether they subscribe to the water services or not. We just sent it blanket to everybody, just as an additional reminder.
Good deal. Well, I'm glad to hear things is pretty good up there, so overall, so that's positive. All right, Kurt, Matt.
One thing, I guess while we're talking about that, I want to go ahead, I don't know if y'all have an opinion or not, but we've got a couple samples from the Division I contractor that's doing the booster pump station. Our plan was to try to mimic some of the well houses up there, kind of make it look like what they've already got. And I've got a couple samples I was gonna let y'all look at. Now, there is some variance between those, but this was a sample of the siding, and I was thinking we could either go with that or something a little more narrow. And then, as far as, y'all seen the paint colors for the tank, the stone veneer at the bottom. This is kind of what I had in mind. This, I think it's native to Dawson County, but it's pretty similar to what a couple of the buildings have.
Yeah,
And-
that's just the mountain field stuff,
Yeah.
real common here.
And then the shingles, we kind of had narrowed down. A lot of the existing buildings have black shingles. I kind of like the teak, the browner shade, but I'll let y'all decide if y'all have an opinion one over the other.
I like it too.
I do too.
Yeah, I
It's
think
not
it's-
as dramatic as the black.
I think it'll kind of meld into the landscape a little better, be less
Yeah.
obvious, yeah.
What's you guys' feelings up there? Build that pump station look like pretty much what you already got.
I just wanted to blend in with just the way that
I think
normal construction.
Everybody's gonna be pretty well okay with that.
Because I think the pump station's not really up there in the phase one area, so it really won't affect us.
Stone veneer at the bottom.
Well, if they go with the log siding and all, it's basically,
Well, the big thing is for you guys is the ongoing maintenance,
Yeah.
about every 2 years with, especially using the Sickens product with sun exposure,
yeah, personally, I'd rather have something beside that. I live in one of these houses and I spend a lot of time with the brush in my hand.
Now, even, we were looking at using paint on that. Is yours, you got the clear coat or is it?
Well, I use a product called Seekins, which, and in the front of my home, I have to do it every year because the sun, the wind coming in on that front side of my house. And so it's a heck, and if you don't maintenance it, then you got real problems. And,
How big are these buildings?
The one we're putting in, I think it's about a 13 by 14.
I mean, it's small,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, but we, you know, we can't walk off and leave that log, cause it will start rotting.
It will.
I mean, you know, you'll have to put, you know, 3-coat process on it, and then probably every other year, at the least, you'd have to come back and put a coat on it. Somebody would, and it's, you know, I wish there's some way we could do something that you didn't have that kind of maintenance to, that would blend in, I'm just
How
not
about all
sure.
rock?
How tall is this structure? Is it?
It's got 8-foot ceilings,
Okay.
so I'd have to look at the roof pitch to see the highest point, but.
Still,
Yeah.
Oh, paint will last
Still.
longer than the steel.
Yeah, but if you paint it,
We're replacing-
you'll do better, you know, you do, and those buildings up, those pump heads are all green.
Yeah, well, that's
That's what-
that was the plan, was to try to mimic
Okay,
those, but.
but, you know, if you come with the paint, it'll last, I'm sure, longer, or, you know,
I told Kurt I do
But-
that's a formula for the paint, so it's.
okay, then that's cool, and, you know, but again, you'll get longer out of it than you probably will the stain. And so you might ever, 5, 7 years, something like that, come back and have to put a coat over it, that way it doesn't get ahead of you. But, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm getting too worried, I'm not gonna be here.
No, but Mike, we
Well,
figured
as long
you, we
as-
figured you, get you back to do the painting and the upkeep.
As long as it's good 6 months from now, you're.
Yeah, 6 months from now, I guess I'm happy. So,
But, yeah, they've already started doing some of the plumbing work, and, you know, they'll be framing, I think, within the next week or so, so it'll start,
yeah.
they'll be moving along on it. Let's see, I think that's pretty much all I had.
And I think that's all for the USDA project. Next thing we probably need to talk about is the 2014 GFA SRF money that's out there. That was initially geared for My Meadows, is it My Meadows or Meadowwoods? Meadowwoods and the area between the USDA project and the CDBG project. And I think we were waiting before we can proceed any further with some responses to how many signups we'd have in that area.
And I think, talking with Brian, maybe what we were looking at doing is Renee was gonna send out a letter, and on the tail end of that, we were gonna follow up with, I guess, the county's letter. And I don't know.
He had said he would do that, now whether he has done that, I have not.
I don't think.
I talked to him, he said he would, he asked us to email him the letter that we had sent out before, he was gonna send it to his attorney, and I've been gone since then, so I have
But
not
it has
followed.
been emailed to him.
Okay.
But you have not heard back yet? Well, I'll give him a call just as a follow-up and see if he got it. I mean, I just haven't been able to do that, so I'll call Renee.
Yeah, and if they're not interested, and just talk.
But we need to know.
Yeah, we do. There's other areas we keep, you know.
And we've got other projects.
Yeah,
that's-
that's right.
Yeah.
And we can revise the scope, or ask GFA to allow us to revise the scope to a different area, as long as they're having some problems that can be proven also. But they were on schedule to take it to the GFA board for approval this month. And we don't have the environmental clearance done because we don't have the target area. So we asked them to bump it back to January. Probably gonna have to ask them to bump it back again, more than likely, unless we get some movement on it before too long. But we have till July of 2015 to sign an agreement with GFA for the principal forgiveness, which is the grant.
Well, I think if we start getting some push, I mean, if we're not getting anywhere, then we need to look at another project, and we've got some that could be possibilities.
Right.
I got the feeling Renee really had, like mine, had absolutely no problem. So I don't know whether when it got, he said, I've got to send it to the attorney, which I figured was pretty standard, but I guess he did the first one, it flew, so.
I didn't understand having to go back to the attorney when
I
the
didn't-
attorney helped him draft the one he had.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, but I will.
But maybe he can explain that to you, Kay.
I'll call him. I'll proceed. I'm pretty dumb, you have to explain things to me.
Well, tell them guys, I don't believe that, I don't buy that. I've known you too long.
I won't tell Renee that, though.
So we've got 2014, that's money's allocated, we just need to push forward with it. And we had talked about a potential 2015 application, which will be due January 1st. And whenever we determine that area, we can put together a cost estimate and the application.
Yeah, we just,
That was kind of McKaysville
right.
project. with it.
Speaking of McCaysville, let me interject here. I talked with the mayor and their water commissioner. We have tentatively got, they want to sit down Thursday, a week from tomorrow. And what he wanted to do was one of us, or maybe two of us from this water authority, meet with him and his commissioner, their engineer, and one of you guys. And let's see if we can come to a resolution on a water rate using basically the contract we have with Blue Ridge. We've all agreed, I've given them a copy of our contract we have with Blue Ridge, and we've kind of all agreed there's no use trying to reinvent the wheel, that contract got walked over from all the lawyers in Gainesville that Blue Ridge has, and all of our lawyers, and we come up with a contract that covers everybody. So we use that as a template, and if we could agree something, they go to the council, we come back to our board here, we can all agree and we'll get this water contract in place. So next Thursday, hopefully we'll sit down with him. And
That'll be the 23rd.
Yes, sir.
yeah, and Matt, you said you thought y'all could make that day.
One of us can be there. I know
Okay.
I'm free that day.
Didn't mean to interrupt, but while I was thinking of that, I wanted to lay that out.
Maybe Stan, Steve, and Mike go.
Yeah, you know, we didn't want to do it in a big, you know, we just need to sit down and come to an agreement. And,
No, I can't go.
and then we'll come back to our boards.
I mean, since Steve lives out that way and Stan's been involved a long time,
So,
people that are gonna be here
We'll,
after Mike leaves, we need eyeballs.
Who says you should leave?
Well,
I'm
that's,
leaving. So, anyway,
But we'll firm that up with you
Yeah,
and
okay.
make sure one of us is there.
anything else?
Don't know of anything else.
I think, well, this probably on Marie's, y'all got it squared away with all the meters, of the meter reading.
All right, talking about the kind of good segue into Mr. Waddell of Riverwalk community, talking about somewhere that's needing water. We asked, remember last board meeting, they came to us because of their well problem and their water problems, and we asked them to do a survey with all the homeowners in there and see what kind of interest there would be for this water project. And so, glad you'd be here today. Let us know what you found.
Okay, here's 10 copies that has some around.
Get through this way here.
After our meeting on the 17th, several members of our board or the homeowners association, they developed some communication with the homeowners and property owners of Riverwalk. And Chuck Burton, our VP, wrote the attached email to all the residents there. And we also prepared a white paper document talking about what water would mean to Riverwalk and choices they would have, whether they're committed or non-committed, and then prerequisites to the possibility of getting water in Riverwalk. And we also prepared a Q&A, given some of the information. We followed up with Marie here, and she answered a lot of questions for us. And we put that in there as well. We also directed them to the YouTube video of the last meeting so they could understand what we were talking about and some of the issues and concerns we brought forth to this board. We also talked about in the meeting on the 17th some of the criteria y'all look for when considering running piping to subdivisions. And you can see on the page there after the white paper. It lists all the mileage from Curtis Switch to the Riverwalk entrance at 5/10 of a mile. Riverwalk Gate 1 to Gate 4 is another half of a mile. and then Gate 4 to the Decoa Camp down on the river zone is 6/10. So in total, it's 1.6 miles of road frontage there going right on Robert Miller. Also, I included a bear tracks distance from Curtis Switch of 6/10 of a mile. At the top of that graph, not the graph, but the worksheet there, I showed the roads in Riverwalk. Hunter's Ridge is the first road, which is an extension of the Mercury Lane. It's 4/10 of a mile going into the first phase, and there's 10 homes on that 4/10 of a mile. Cross Creek is an offshoot of Hunter's Ridge. It's 8/10, and there's 12 homes on that. Bennett Springs is the second gate in Riverwalk. It's an offshoot of Cross Creek, 2/10 of a mile, 4 homes on that. Then Woodlands Bluff is the second gate, and there's 5/10 of a mile there, and there's 8 homes on that. Coldwater Creek is the third gate, 2/10 of a mile with 5 homes, and then Rivercrest is the fourth gate with no homes being built, but several lots in there. In total, 39 homes on 2.2 miles, an average of 17.7 homes per mile. The next page shows kind of the results of the survey we did. It was a very simple survey. We asked basically 5 questions to the homeowners. And if you go to the graph on the back page, you can see homeowners. We asked them, are they a homeowner or do they own a lot? And they answered yes or no. If you're a homeowner, would you be interested in having Fannin County Water provide water to this home? And they said 94% affirmative. That represents 42 homeowners, and there's 3 homeowners outside the periphery of Riverwalk that was also included in the survey because they wanted to be. So of the 39 plus those 3, there's 55 lots of the 96 lots total in Riverwalk represented there through homeownership and additional lot ownership that says 94% of those would vote for water service. If you look at the lot owners only, there's 29 lots represented there, and with almost a 91% positive vote for water service from the Fannin County Water Authority. As of Monday, we had 84% of the people, with the lot owners and property owners in Riverwalk, taking the survey, and that represents 81 lots to 96 total. So all in all, it's a very, very favorable response back to the survey and committing to water service if in fact provided by the authority.
Are there any multiple homeowners or lot owners on here?
Yeah, they're represented there.
I mean, that won't like 2 meters or 3 meters?
That's right. That's represented by the second pie there. 39 homeowners within Riverwalk representing 55 of the lots. And they were all voted 94% affirmative to having the meters hooked up.
I think I would open a hula hoop store if you had 95% of the people wanting it.
Well, we're excited about it. We've got a lot of issues out there. I mean, there's a lot of wells being drilled now, and 2 of them going down to 600 feet with no water. One went down 600 feet. He's got 2 gallons per minute, so it's just it's an issue for us.
Jerry Estes lives up there.
He's my neighbor, yes. In fact, Jerry and our wells are hooked together. Then I own the lot across the street. There's like 11 acres there. It has 2 wells on it. I just spent $2,000 bringing that well into play for Jerry and I to have water service. So. But Jerry and I just put new pumps in. So.
Well, I'm impressed with your survey.
Excellent.
You know, not often you have somebody goes out, takes initiative, do what you guys have done. That I think it's pretty obvious. You guys like want water. You kind of, you've impressed me here.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, I know that all the water we've done so far has been based on the ability of the authority to get grant and or loans. Is there a point at which we can do our own systems without outside money sources? Will we be able to fund, or can we always get loans, say? Are loans almost always available at a reasonable rate so that
A straight loan through GFA is always an option.
And what
Anytime
kind of
that you-
interest rates do those run?
Right now, I think it's 2.34, 2.5.
Okay,
They're always pretty low, competitive, and you can apply to those at any point. There's not a deadline for just a regular Georgia fund, which is straight loan. If you want any principal forgiveness or grant, then it's offered at certain times, and there's,
first of the year,
right.
so you get, whatever, okay.
But, yes, you'll always have that, unless you just have available cash sitting there,
Probably smarter to borrow the money from GFA and pay it back on.
At that
most
percent.
times,
Yeah,
most times,
yeah.
unless you just have the available cash or splash money. Or if you can get the eligibility for grant, that principal forgiveness, the 40%, that's a
That's a
no-brainer.
no-brainer.
Even if you do have cash in the bank, you can, there's no penalty to pay it off early. You can get the loan and the principal forgiveness and then pay it off as you want to.
Just for long-term planning purposes, because we're clearly gonna be getting lots of requests. We're gonna have to know how
Right.
to handle these requests.
Well, I think you'll have a lot like this that are the 30 to 50 groups. It's about as, you may can get a 60 or 70, but that's about as big of a group that you're probably going to get in the county. But those fit well with GFA funding. I would say, I think we looked at it before, and for the GFA 2014 SRF, we needed about 70 people total to repay that. It was a 60-40 split on almost $1 million, so it was about 600,000, I think, that you had to repay, and you needed about 65 to 70 homes, which we needed that to pay a $38 minimum, that to go strictly to debt service, and then the per thousand cost to go back to you for revenue.
Okay.
There's no income limit on GFA,
No.
I mean, like the CDBG.
That's right. On SRF, the federal money, there has to be some need, but for Georgia Fund, there is no requirements to be met.
All right, let me bounce something here. Just throw out. We're, we've been trying on this Meadowwoods thing, and nobody's banging their door down over there. Well, doesn't seem like. I mean, we're
Right.
There's maybe one or two over there seems to want it, and nobody else is coming in here, and these folks, we're sitting here and got this GFA money that we have right now, that we've got a project here that these folks have gone out and shown there is a deal right here. Then why don't we seriously look, and Blue Ridge is on board, they want us to do it, which is a hurdle we don't have to fight through. They're the ones that told them to come see us, they want it, and I've talked to Donna, and she said, yeah, y'all, if y'all want to do that, fine, we'll be happy to see the water.
Right.
So why don't we look at this money that we've got right now, and let's do a little, the survey's in, let's go up there and look and see what we think how's gonna work, and see, and maybe, go with Meadowwoods on 215 or something and get some time to get this thing going.
That'll buy us some time.
But here's folks that's got a desperate need in there, and they want it.
Well, and I think that's easy enough to go back to Jason Bobble at GFA and ask for a scope change
Change
to
scope.
that and get it approved.
What do you guys think? I'm just throwing something out.
I think
I
that's,
think the one that wants it to work is,
Do you have any idea from what you see here on these numbers, what kind of money we talking about?
Probably a couple $100,000 per mile. So was the 2.2 in addition to the 1.6?
I think that
Or
was
is
total.
the 2.2 only in the,
That's the mileage of the roads within the Riverwalk gates.
okay, but to get to the gate?
But to get to the gate, it's only half of a mile. It's 1 point,
Okay, I wasn't familiar with some of the road names. So
Okay, it's
I see.
0.6.
So the total mileage, is the 0.5 plus the 22 at the top right corner?
No, not since they built. I
Oh,
think
the
yeah,
2.2.
I helped
it's
that out
1.1 to
really
really cover all
timber
the
off
gates
back
on the
90 years.
exterior, and then you add 2.2 for the interior.
Okay.
But,
1.1, so 3.3 miles?
no, I've been aiming to go down there, I just hadn't had an opportunity.
I've been down
I
there.
think
We need to do that.
I've been,
I've been in there, I mean, back when they were building in there and all that.
yeah, I haven't been
And I, you know, at that time, I never dreamed it'd be water problem.
No.
No, you wouldn't think it would.
If you look at Robert Miller coming up, and it ties into Hunter's Ridge, is that correct?
Yeah, Mercury Lane, Robert Miller, it accesses Curtis Switch by two ways.
Okay.
There's a dirt road that comes up right just north of the bridge.
Right.
And then there's a paved road, which is Mercury Lane, which goes straight up the hill and kind of does almost a 90-degree turn. That Mercury Lane goes into the first gate of Riverwalk, and that becomes Hunter's Ridge Road.
Okay, but the Robert Miller would be the closest access to the Blue Ridge water
I
line?
think so.
Yeah, it would be the closest from Curtis Switch, from Curtis Switch coming up Mercury Lane.
Okay.
And you'd tee into the Robert Miller there. Then you could go 1/10 of a mile and pick up the Bear Track subdivision, and we haven't even surveyed them yet.
We need, what was it, 70 people?
We needed 70 people, is what we figured for that amount that we're gonna borrow from GFA. And 39 customers would get you about 55% of that, we get you over half. And we'd probably be looking at over half of that cost going to that subdivision. So, I mean,
We shouldn't need the $950,000. We'd have to, pull together a cost estimate, but it's probably in the neighborhood of 600,000, what'd you guess?
And Bear
Tracks.
Bear Tracks is an option to hook on out there that we have not explored.
We have not explored that. And then there's also homes on Robert Miller as well as Mercury Lane that aren't included here, and we've also heard from interest from them. There's three homes that were included in here in the 42 homeowners, 39 within Riverwalk, 3 on the periphery of Riverwalk that heard us doing this, and they said, please include us. So we let them do the survey, and they took the survey.
How many other homes would you estimate are in this proximity, other areas?
Including Bear Tracks and Robert Miller, there's probably another 40 homes, 50 homes.
This may sound like, well, we ought to go with this money we already have. I mean, it's, question, the roads going, are these private owned roads?
They're county, Robert Miller and Mercury Lane.
Okay, then they won't,
they're
well,
county
there's
roads.
not a problem with the county owned roads as far as us having right of way to come up through there. Now, when we get in there, I guess if people say they want the water, then they'd be willing to let us have right of way to
Exactly.
easement to bury the lines, right?
is there a HOA?
You have an HOA in Riverwalk,
We
don't
do.
you? So we just have to get, in Riverwalk, we'll just have to have the right of way from the HOA.
Yeah.
Does Bear Tracks have an HOA?
I think so. I'm not that familiar with the Bear Tracks.
I don't know anybody.
I think it's built out or it's sold
Nathan
out.
Fitz
Who
did Bear
developed
Tracks,
that,
and I'm not
Nathan
sure.
Fitz, and it's been done.
I'm sorry.
Was this Bruce?
I don't think
This
this
is
is a no-brainer.
I do too. I say we use this money that we have got. Let's say we got 925, I think is what we've been approved for our next project, or the project we were talking about over there. If we change the scope and we only use, say, 600,000, the rest of that money, I mean, we just wouldn't use that amount of money to go back to GFA and,
It's like a construction loan.
Right.
yeah.
You only use.
Use what you got, terms stay the same.
But
And-
if Bear Tracks is added in and you're winding up going from 39 homes up to 70, I think we're gonna use the majority of it.
Right.
Of the 925?
Yeah.
How do you find out if there's an HOA for Bear Tracks, and how do you find out? Just get out and start talking to people?
So you go upstairs and you look at the records, you see if something's filed with Secretary of State's office, and you start making a few phone calls.
I can find out for you. I can
Could
have our-
you?
You
I
find
can have our
out somebody
HOA.
that lives in there, like they will shoot us, and, start calling and asking.
If you could find out for us if there's an HOA and who that contact person
I'll be
is.
glad to do that for you. I'll just send
You
information.
say that's
Rick.
Nathan's?
Nathan built
That-
Bear
that's
Tracks,
fine.
yeah.
Nathan know that. I mean, I could
Nathan
ask,
Fitz.
we could ask Nathan.
But if we get approved, at that point, we probably would need to move to the point of sending out contracts and getting those signed.
Pretty quickly.
But, yeah, and just to kind of reassure that the percentages that are saying they'll sign on will actually sign up and put their name on the dotted line so we can go ahead and move forward with it.
Can we get names and addresses for
Sure can.
these folks from you? So we can get a
I can
record
get that to
of
you.
it.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
And we would do just like we did on My Mountain. That is, we'd send the contract out, explain all the, how it works and all that. You sign up, I'm sure we'd probably do the same thing we did up there. You
Have a
you sign-
time frame?
You have a time frame to sign up. If you sign up, you're gonna get your meter free.
That's what we said in the white paper
Yeah.
that we said.
And that, you know, and that ain't sales. That's $1,625.
Well, do you want Maria and I to go ahead and send these contracts before the next meeting, so that you have some kind of?
Well, first I
We need to
guess
get it
you
approved.
guys need to change the scope, get back with GFA and say, we've got another project and the scope is this. And it shouldn't be, I'm speculating big time here, but, you know, it's all about who's got problems and needs water. Well, they've definitely got the problem, so.
Right, and the desire.
And the desire, and they've got water problems.
Right.
And if it turns out, you know, Meadowwood still wants water and that other area between the USDA and CDBG, I mean, we could tell Jason Boswell that, maybe 2015 we'll catch these guys, but the fire's over here.
Right.
I think, Kay, you make that call to Renee.
Well, that's what I said.
This is the last chance to.
We really need to get this going, because we've kind of blown the 14 money. We've got to get this application, figure this out. Okay.
But let's go with 15 on the Meadowwoods thing, and let's use what we got right now, because if this thing looks like it sounds, and I'm sure it does, I mean, this kind of no-brainer, don't everybody think?
Well, and when we do send out the contracts or information, I'd send it out to the whole Bear Tracks, any of the surrounding
Right.
people we think, because if we're gonna plan for it, let's go ahead and look at the whole area.
Yeah, let's get the Bear Tracks
You'd have to
thing.
do that for sizing.
It would help, yeah, to go ahead and, so we don't,
And see,
Wouldn't have to end up putting another booster pump in.
yeah, I don't wanna go back.
frankly,
and-
personally, I'd like to use all that 925.
Yeah.
Well, and if
I
it's
won't
too
give
big,
none back.
we can always break it up into, come back with 2015 to finish out
Yeah,
that, or
True.
ask for more money. It would be loan only if we increased it, but if we could make the numbers work and it's bigger than the 925, we can do that. It's hard to know for sure until we see who all is interested in signing up.
What's the topography like it compared to Curtis Switch Road? Y'all aren't 200 feet up a mountain, is it?
No, it's
No, it's
relative.
We
Relative.
shouldn't need any booster
Yeah.
pumps or.
like we need to boost.
I think
Well,
you might need to put.
City of Blue Ridge has already extended to Highway 60. And they're going south with it now.
Yeah, we worked on that job.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had just had, I guess what I'm saying is whenever we looked at a cost estimate, we would just need to consider whether there was extra stuff beyond just laying lines that we would have to factor in.
Would that tank that Blue Ridge has up at Hardscrabble, would that play into this?
They don't use that anymore, Steve.
I know they don't use it, but could it be used in
I
this?
think that, they got a
Come off
million
Cut
gallons
Cane.
over off Cut Cane, that it would be more than enough. And
Yeah, come
that
off
line's
Cut
gonna
Cane
be
tank.
looped, so it'd really be the Sunset tank and the Cut Cane tank both kind of feeding into it. They wouldn't have an issue with getting water out there.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be okay.
Well, I guess the next thing is you guys to look at this.
Yeah,
Yeah, y'all need to look at it for
Yeah, we'll
sure.
put a cost estimate together for it.
And Mr. Waddell's gonna get us the Bear Track contact information.
HOA, the list of all the.
Get the letter out to everybody.
You guys feel pretty good about that?
Thank you for this work. You've kind of set the bar for everybody else to follow.
Really?
Yeah.
I hope you'll let us share.
I was looking at this and I was
our
thinking, we ought to
information.
contract them to do all our surveys.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute, would you consider volunteering? Let's go contract, yeah, let's see if we can rub you in.
We'll pay the same thing we get.
I am retiring at the end of the month, so. But I have access to the surveys.
You know, you might get your wife to come up here now, when you go back and tell her you're gonna get water.
Well, she hadn't shaved her legs yet.
She'll kill you for that one.
You do know this has been
You do
taken.
know this.
I do know now.
I won't put that in the minutes.
You know, a guy's got a problem when his wife won't come because there's no water. You know, you got a water problem, and so.
That was actually my neighbor.
Yeah,
Wife didn't
that's
come.
right. Yeah, that was your neighbor saying, his wife wouldn't even come up here because there's no water.
My wife wouldn't, she couldn't shave her legs, that's why she's upset.
Well, hopefully we can
Oh, we really appreciate
Yeah,
this.
this
This
is
is
great.
awesome.
This right here tells a story. And, so our game plan is you guys take a look at that.
We'll put together a cost estimate
Get
and
with Ed. I'd
contact.
like for you to go look at this thing.
Do we need a motion to shift the GFA just for the records?
Yeah.
But are we,
Yeah.
have we just
definitely
should we
decided?
wait until?
We need a way we definitely decide. Let's
Let's get approval from
Get
Chief
approval.
to even allow us to do
even
it.
allow us to
And
do it.
get the cost estimates and then
And
next month.
then you guys
we'll-
look at it, and then if it's all,
Can you have this by
Next month?
November?
okay, next meeting, we can vote, to, you know, if everything looks good, we can move with it.
So we'll
Sit here
table a motion.
4 to 6 months trying to figure out where to spend some money.
No,
Really?
You know it?
you guys got this good time.
No, we,
I don't wanna force them into it.
Huh?
Timing's everything.
Time is everything.
Don't forget your letter.
Yeah. Okay. So we got a game plan on this one. We'll revisit this our next meeting, okay? All right, the next thing,
Mike, can I excuse myself? Can I excuse myself?
Thank you.
the next,
thanks.
Yep.
thank you. The next thing is a letter from Jim Williamson. It should be stapled to your back of your agenda.
Or on the back.
Or on the back of it one. Requesting water to subdivision on My Mountain Phase 1B. You guys familiar with that?
I think Marie's told us
Marie
about it.
is.
It's the
And-
proposed, there's nothing there right now, is there? Yeah.
But the letter, it says it's an intention of the owner to develop Bill Kevin's 1B. This is an approved development with 30 lots and all roads are in place. You know, Fontaining Water, the developer plans to begin construction, but currently is a standstill because of no public water source. And he would appreciate us considering that. Now, that would be coming off of Katy did down into,
Down Reuben Road, down kind of in that low area, back behind the booster pump station.
There's a little pond out there.
Maria
Is that
showed
the one
me.
that, just as you get to the hump, it goes
Sharp left.
hard left?
Mhm.
Down low.
Yeah.
Now, Marie, you may want to touch on this because you've had a conversation about what you'd have to pay and those kind of things, right?
No,
Yeah.
I asked him to send the letter of intent, and this is what I got. He didn't,
Well, this is a letter of what he wants. This isn't a letter of,
yeah, I know, that's not exactly what I asked him
no,
to
that's
provide.
not exactly what we really want.
You know, I asked him if he was willing to pay something up front, so, you know, to help, you know, with the cost or anything like that, but that's not what the letter says, so.
What about the road? Are these in the county road, the main road?
No.
But
So
he would
it-
certainly give us right away if he wants the water.
Well,
It's his
but
The
right.
only
have to
right of
know-
way we'd have to get would be inside his
Let me ask
subdivision.
this, is he wanting for us to run a line down to those 30, run a line to 30 lots, set 30 meters? He would have them there when he sells the lots or when he,
Well, that, he didn't say. I mean, he really didn't say. I mean, this is what I
We
got.
have to know.
because I mean, if you just run the numbers at 1625 times 30, you're looking at
48,000.
$49,000 that cost him for meters, and then he'd be on the hook for the monthly,
$38.
whether he uses any or not. I mean, is this what he's wanting to do?
And there's the cost to run the line.
They gotta run lines.
Yeah.
Here's the subdivision. This is not the breakup. This is the initial part that was purchased by Ravi Shaw, who now is owned by someone else, but from Roy Quintal. This is part of Roy's subdivision out there. This is broken up into 30 lots. This is the outline of it. The roads are installed and everything. And that's what I tried to pass along to his contact person, and he's available by phone if you want to talk to him. But we could just call him on the phone and he'll talk to you. But I
No.
told him that you wanted a letter of intent. What are you willing to do for us, for the county authority to come out there and provide water to your customers?
Now, you guys chime in here, but I'm gonna tell you what I want. I don't want just a letter with this on here and us wanting us to tell him we'll do something. If he wants this done, I'd like to see him come here and him sit down and him tell us what his intent would be, and is he willing to put an investment up front or whatever, And I'm not interested in getting him on the phone, none of that. I want him to come. If he's not interested enough to be here, he don't seem to be interested enough to want
Is he
water.
from here?
I
I mean, I know Nathan Dickinson.
Jim, Mr. Williams' owner is not, no, he's.
And this is one of those projects where the SRF money would not be eligible.
No.
Just, the numbers that have been working with wouldn't apply to this one.
No.
But this would be one of those things we'd have to use the chief of
Chief,
just
Georgia
general.
fund.
That's what I'm saying, but
Right.
we need him, I mean,
I'd like to see, look at his eyes.
yeah.
not only
Or
that, but
if
we
Na-
need to
if
know
Nathan Nicholson
what's the
is his
payback.
spokesperson or
Right.
his guy, then Nathan Nicholson needs to come sit
He's gonna have to
down.
put something in.
I am, this doesn't,
Either him or his attorney, one come
somebody.
down,
so,
that have the authority to make a commitment.
I'm not even sure about the Nicholson, I think it almost needs to be the owner.
The owner
Well, I
and
think what's
or
gonna
his-
happen, he can send Nicholson, but what we're basically gonna tell him is, you can make your presentation, but we're not doing anything till we see the guy
well, that's it.
who's gonna
You know,
sign it. You can tell him he's got to know what he's gonna put up front. Cause we can't just sit there with money outstanding and nothing coming.
no, I mean, somebody's gotta come that's gonna be the responsible party on this, I mean.
And there are no
That's how we did by
specifics.
mountain, they came and
There are no
sat down, and that's how we,
And he's gonna have to sign a
This guy
contract to prepay the money, or you're gonna be on the hook for it if no houses get built.
exactly, so, I think when he comes to make a presentation, and Marie, if you
I
wanna
agree.
refer him to me or whatever, that's fine. But when he can come and make a presentation, well, we'll be happy to listen.
But we're really setting a precedent here, because if we end up going out to Pete Folger's place, it's the same situation. How are we gonna handle when people come and say,
Yeah.
I wanna develop this great
Exactly, yeah.
property, you go and give me the water, well,
And just for reference, there's a lot of our clients that an extension like that to a development is all on the developer.
Right.
That is one thing for an
And
existing
that's what I
customer
see
base
here,
that has
this would all
problems.
be on the developer,
Yeah.
Mhm.
pretty much. I mean, it'd be probably an easy pull to set a meter off of Katie did and head off down his way or whatever. But this will be on him.
And it's a price that they pass along to the home buyer,
Right.
just as they would a well and septic tank, but
And he may look at that, he'd sign a contract, he'd put in all the meters and pay the base, and he'll get it back when he sells them or whatever, which would probably enhance the selling of the lots to have the water on them.
it sounds
But
like he
that'd
knows
have to be in
that about
writing.
it, so.
But we have to be careful, Kay's right, with setting a precedent.
Sure we do,
Yeah.
certainly do. So I say, we just need to let him know when he's willing to come sit down and talk hard figures. I think that's what this board would
Is
like
that
to
something we
see.
need to bring him to a meeting or be available just for 2 or 3 of us to meet with him?
I think you'd
I
like,
think you'd like,
I think Bob come to the meeting, sit down and just lay it out for everybody.
Has he indicated any reluctance to come to me? Is any reasoning on that, Mary?
I've not actually spoke to the owner in reference to the water. I spoke to his representative, Mr. Nicholson, and I tried to indicate that he really needed to be here. He could not be here today. He said he would be available by phone today. He was on the agenda a couple of months ago, and he didn't come. so.
Okay. That tells me they're not really interested.
well, and just be leery, you saw the problems that happened back in '08 when those subdivisions went under. If those utilities had been paid for, there was no recoup for that money, so I would ask for something up front
Oh,
for
yeah.
collateral, if y'all want us to put the money out.
That's what I tried to indicate him. Show us some interest that
Right.
you
You'll also
want
have
to
to
do
put
this,
down
some
security.
what you're
incentive.
willing to do.
Right, that's
what.
Cover any losses we have.
You put it in and they walk away,
And there's
you're
nothing
left
there,
holding the
you're
bag.
screwed.
You're still paying it, you know.
Yeah.
If you get 200 homeowners, they all have agreements, you
They're
can
not
pretty well
going anywhere.
bet that they're not gonna all be legal.
Right.
One
So this
person-
one just needs to come forth.
I think we have to hold these private developers to a little higher level just for our own
Agree.
protection for the.
The speculators.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's what it is,
Yeah.
So we're all in agreement on that.
yes.
So, all right, next thing on the agenda is contact phone numbers for emergencies and after hours emails to the website not being answered. I wanna, Steve, I thought you wanted this put on there because you'd had some
Well, I
questions.
talked with Brian and
And let's discuss this a little bit.
I guess Brian would be the best
My concern was more on the customer side. And what I mean by that is that I was getting a lot of calls, probably around 15 to 18 calls, where people had taken the letter and somewhat misinterpreted. They were calling plumbers to come out and try to find their pipes. They called Appalachian Water Service to have them come out and try to find their pipes. And I was driving on the road and I saw somebody out there potholing their own driveway, trying to find their pipe because they misinterpreted the letter. We all know what, if you cut a phone line or a fiber or power, what those fines look like. So the point I was trying to get across to Steve is that I know that they had been mailing or emailing a lot of letters of, hey, I can't find my entry point, or I can't find my existing pipe, or I'm not quite sure whether I want new pipe or old pipe. And we probably have, what, 80 of these things in here now? Is that a rough guesstimate? Some of those, and I know she's done a good job of corresponding with them, but some of them are going to require more than just an email response. It's going to require some feet on the ground to help them get through this and answer their questions. I have been reluctant to do it because it's it could be painful for me. I don't want to dig a hole in the cut phone line. There's nothing in it for me.
No, there's nothing in it for.
Basically, you guys haven't wanted me to do that either, and it's, you know, it's not really a Quintrell responsibility either.
Well, it's not us to dig a hole on there to try to find their line.
I understand.
That's not on us either.
Right.
But for assistance, I mean, Ed's there up there every day. I mean, as far as going out and saying you might not ought to do this or you could maybe do that. That'd be something Ed might could help.
So maybe the short-term
I don't expect
solution-
him to be digging, finding every one of them either, but if they got a question, here's a guy that's done this forever.
That's where the emails probably need to be eventually transitioned to Ed to review and see if there's something that needs his follow-up.
Through our soon-to-be secretary, I would think.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep the frustration points to a lower level and somebody not make a stupid mistake.
But I mean, I know for a fact, she follows up on,
Oh, no, she
I've
doesn't.
been in here when she's just one after another.
I've heard complaints of it, and I know that they're probably based on the characters, that they're, you know, saying it's going into a black hole and not getting any response. I seriously doubt that, but I've heard some of that too.
Ed, do you come in, do you and Marie talk every day,
Not
communicate?
every day, just
Chit-chat.
when we need something from one another.
Okay.
You know, just, you know, not every day, but, you know, if something comes up here, and she'll call me and ask me, or,
Like
you know,
that.
whatever.
But I would hope if there's some of those deals about digging, trying to figure out what, you know, that they could grab Ed up there and he's up there on the mountain, he can look.
I think he'd be more than happy to do it. Some of these things, though, he may not have knowledge of. This is all going on.
You know, as far as knowing where their pipe is, I don't.
No,
You know,
you
but
don't.
I might suggest something to them, you know, that would make them easier, you know, to get it, but, you know.
Well, there's some people who think they want new pipe. But once you look at the location, there's a driveway, a wall, a garden. But they can't have new pipe. But yet they're wanting.
You gotta have you gotta use common sense along with it.
Yes, sir.
I think that's where we gotta tap him, being on the ground up there.
And
And maybe even, you know, if you're out there with him, you go with him, y'all look at it and, you know. But I don't expect either one of them to be digging it up, trying to find it for him. I'm just
I'm not
maybe
going
helping
to.
with some questions, say, you know, you're asking me, I don't think I'd dig up my driveway right here, just to be honest with
It's
you.
just funny, everybody got the same letter, but it's just
Yeah.
funny how
I know.
200 people interpret it totally different. So
And I've
please-
talked to a lot of those folks up there and explained to them, it's up to you if you want new line. Do you have a driveway issued? Is there something, a tree that you don't want destroyed? You have to make those decisions. One lady, her home was built in 2008, and I said, well, there's certainly no reason for you to get new lines. If your house is built in 1990, you might want new lines. I don't know the answer to that. You as the homeowner have to make those decisions. So I have addressed, I think, everybody. Maybe the last couple of days I haven't answered if there's a question on those emails, but I think I've addressed everybody. Plus, they've called me on the phone too, so I think that we've addressed everybody's issues that sent the email so far.
As I ride around, I'd say probably less than 50% have actually got their stuff marked. Now, that's gonna come to a head.
Pretty
soon,
quick.
too. Yeah. That's gonna slow us down if we don't get a higher participation.
But we're not gonna send out any follow-up letters or anything, they've had their chance?
They've had their
Okay,
chance.
all right, just make sure.
I think if they don't, respond or something, make them a tap. There it is.
That's what we said we were gonna do, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
We hadn't heard from, we set the tap and
Makes it easier.
Makes it easy for me.
We set the table and move along. 'Cause we can't hold everybody up because, some people won't make a decision.
Well, I offered to her, and it still stands if the board wants to, is that I could email the ones that haven't responded and encourage them to do that, if that's what you guys want to do, because I have the list. You'd have to ask, to do that.
Hopefully we're gonna streamline some of this in the coming weeks, because we are gonna be hiring somebody. We're working on all that right now, trying to get some of this pulled together. And we'll streamline some of that. I mean, we have put a tremendous burden on Marie, and she's done a tremendous job for us. And we have, but hopefully we get somebody in here, we'll have a phone number, a person they can talk to immediately, and email and all those kind of things, and that'll be certainly part of the job expectations, doing that, coordinating with Ed every day and those kind of things. So we'll get that worked out.
Nobody wants to get out of the water business more than me.
I know you do. Whipples is right behind you, so we'll make this work. We'll make it work. All right, any comments from the audience? We've got people here, anybody got any comments? Yes, sir.
My name is Dave Wessel, and I just bought some property out on Forge Mill Road. And I'm about 800 feet from the end of the existing water line. And I was just wondering about the possibility of extending that line, possibly at my expense, to avoid me having to put in a well and connect to county water. I know I do have 100% approval of the property owners. He's the previous 94% that you were counting. But, it sounds like small potatoes compared to all the problems you've got, but if it could be considered, I'd appreciate it.
And you're how far from our end of our water line? Are you familiar with that?
Which end of the Forge Mill you talking about?
At Sellers.
Okay, I know, I know where it
Yeah,
is, yeah.
I totally think those.
Okay. And I don't
That's
know
the one we
exactly
talked
what.
about numerous times. I think we.
Was that the one there at the top of the hill?
There's
On the right
two
end?
properties.
Mm-hmm, we still got two people that's interested, this gentleman and the lady across the street.
Across the road.
our question was, we talked about doing it, but how big a line to put up that
That's right.
road, that's what we couldn't.
Yeah, I don't remember what the exact estimate was. Well, you had materials estimated.
I had,
you did
yeah,
it in-house,
yeah,
right?
That's
me,
when
which
we
was a
talked
lot
about
cheaper.
us just doing it in-house.
I think
If
that's a
he's
lot
gonna
smaller.
pay for the installation,
Are
right?
you just gonna run a two or
I
something?
don't know, blank check here, I would like to know what I would
Yeah,
have to
I
pay.
mean,
What, whether they-
if you decide to do it, that's the way it would
I was
be
just
done.
wanting to get 8 on it now to the top of the
That'd
hill.
be the better
I
number
got
to
the price
replace it
of
later.
That's what that's.
Yeah.
And, we could always
wouldn't
reduce it
reduce
down
it to
after,
two.
it tops the hill,
Right.
if we need to go farther.
And I think you're eventually gonna go out Forge Mill.
That was, I got the
Anyway,
estimate on
something.
8-inch with, 2 valves, hydrant, and the 6-inch valve, just, that's all.
You do it yourself, just rent the equipment, or get
Well,
county
yeah.
equipment.
Yeah, county.
Yeah,
Use county equipment.
that's gonna be the cheapest way to do it.
All right, can we
You know,
put,
if he's willing to,
can we put him a cost estimate together?
yes, I can get the, again, which Kurt and Matt can tell you, pipe fluctuates. I don't know why. Petroleum, when gas goes up, pipe goes up.
Yeah.
Well, gas is down, so.
Gas is down.
Buy that
It might be a little
pipe
less
fast,
than
get
what
it
it is
now.
now, but I don't know about the iron work, as far as the fire hydrants and your fittings, how they, I imagine they stay the same.
What you may even be able to
Well,
do.
if we got like a period, we could figure it and say this price right here is good for 30 days or whatever, and
Should be able to.
and if he made the
They could
decision
tell
he
you more
could do
about
it,
that.
we
They
could
could
order
know
to get all the
number.
materials here at that price, and then we're ready to go.
What you may be able to do, we got Tim Stansel still up there. A lot of times these contractors can get a better price, they're buying stuff all the time, especially if he's adding it to an order.
They might, yeah.
It wouldn't hurt for Ed to get a price just to see what it would cost if he bought 800 feet, but may even just ask Tim if he could order 800 more, and we'll just pay him for what it is.
At the time, I think I asked for 700, because I'd rolled it off, and it was 700 feet up past you know, for the lady was needed, but we was gonna go on up and set a fire hydrant.
What, you remember what it was a foot, under maybe
I don't,
$8?
as far as the footage, I just called Shane with, and he gave me a price on the whole, just to do the whole job. You know, that was tap saddles and fire hydrant and valves and all.
Does the lady across the street, she's still
She
interested?
still wants it.
Yeah.
Would she,
We're not sure she had the resources to put much into the deal.
But she
Unless
needs
we
it.
could-
There's a man asked me the other day that, you know, she really needs it bad.
She does. I mean, she's talked to me several times.
Right.
Mike, let me ask this in fairness to these folks. If they need a certain size water line just to be served, and it's only, their requirement's only 4, yet we want to put 8 inch because we have a future intent, shouldn't we kind of consider that?
Oh, certainly. We're not talking about him paying that. I mean, I was saying he pays for what he needs. But if we're doing something to benefit us, we're gonna pay for that. We wouldn't have to pay for the piece.
yes.
You know, we need 8 inch so far, and
Make
you
up
know,
the pipe price,
Alright.
difference in the
Appreciate
pipe
that.
prices.
yeah, I wouldn't expect anybody to have to pay for all of it. I mean,
Whatever the price would be for a 2-inch line.
for a 2 inch to get to where he needs to go. But if we need it for our use so far, that would be on us, I'd say.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, how many meters do you think you would want?
How many what?
Meters, do you just want the 1
Yeah,
meter?
just one.
You don't plan on, you know, dividing?
No
it up?
subdividing or anything, no. Just one.
So we're actually looking, what, 2 meters for this woman?
Yeah, the lady across the road.
We do 2 meters.
She'll need a road boy, which I can do that, I've got the equipment to do that, you know.
All right, can we let this gentleman, can we get him a price
I
that
can.
would stand good for so many days, maybe? When the price was changed, that he can make a decision.
Well, why don't I meet with this, let's you and I meet,
Okay,
and we'll see where you want your meter,
okay.
and that way it'll give me a better idea how far I need to run the line.
Well, couldn't y'all just vote, go ahead and vote that if he could come to an agreement with Ed and Marie and I already have the agreement that he would, and he signs the agreement to get the water, that it would, y'all would agree for it to be done, that he doesn't have to wait another month and maybe prices change again.
There we go, so we did. I certainly have no objections for him to have water.
Well, let me ask this, when do you plan on wanting the water, or needing it? You need it now or
No,
future?
just bought it, we're gonna build, we got our house for sale, we're gonna build as soon as that sells, but it may be
Maybe a
Monday,
year,
and it may
maybe
be
a month
next
or
year.
whatever.
whenever.
Understood. But
And
the
we don't wanna-
lady
we don't wanna wait
already
years.
needs it. Already.
Yeah.
So if we can move ahead.
Yeah.
So, do we want to entertain, you guys entertain the vote
How
that work this out in
needs to be
agreement?
worded.
The way Lynn said.
Well, what y'all could do is that you could approve supplying him water for a 2-inch line, based on a cost of a 2-inch line, and that the authority itself would pay the difference between a 2-inch and an 8-inch line, provided that he enters into an agreement with the authority saying that he wants the water. He would be a little bit different than, that would be that's what I think your motion would be. He'd be a little bit different because he wouldn't start paying for water until he actually starts using water. He's just a third-party commercial, or residential client, but he's footing the bill to get it up front, and he wants it there, and it'd just sit there until he had his tap and went forward. And that's in essence what we've got in that agreement, and Marie, we can look at it and tweak it. He's the first person that we have that is actually sitting here saying that he wants it. But as long as there's an agreement as to who's paying for what, then that could go ahead and move forward without, subject to y'all approving it. You could just go ahead and approve it in advance.
Again, though, we have to be careful because if we have, at the next meeting, 10 people that come in and we've got one at 500 feet and one that's 800 feet and whatever, we're setting a precedent.
But this one I think is okay since he's footing the bill
Right,
for,
but
even if he was
as
2
long
miles.
as long as we cover our part if we wanted to.
Yeah, we've got an agreement that in essence, he would be required, or any property owner would be required, they would pay a deposit, but we would, so that we don't run into any problems like we see with other utility companies, we're telling you up front, this is what it's gonna cost. You're agreeing that you're gonna pay this, you're agreeing that you're giving us a lien, a materialman's lien that we can place on your property if you don't pay us this when it's done.
And all our motion then says is that we will use that agreement that's in place, but we will agree to pay the difference in what he needs in a larger.
Well, we're
amount.
agreeing-
What we
Yeah.
may need in the future.
Right.
We're agreeing to pay for the valves, the fire hydrant.
Here maybe the problem is if the next person came in and they're 2 miles down the road and Ed decides that's a little bit further than he wants to run, you say, well, you can pay for it, but you're gonna pay for the materials and the labor. We gotta consider what labor is getting saved here. that may get
Those
put-
situations, I would think, every individual situation gotta be looked at as an individual situation.
Right.
Some people, everybody's not it's not a one-size-fit-all price.
But
Yeah.
if we're gonna give the labor to one person,
Yeah.
the next person's gonna want that labor given to them.
That's true.
So
Because
maybe what we
he's saving the
do,
labor cost this
maybe
way.
what we do is, maybe we include a labor cost in this agreement, but maybe it's minimal. You know, we have a labor cost, and we say that the labor cost is based on the project.
Or you could say so many feet
I like
is
that.
free. After that, you pay. And we
Something,
decide what
You know,
that,
your
how
deed-
much is it we do that we don't charge for, how much after that you do.
You know, digging your ditch, whether you put a 2-inch line in it or an 8-inch line, it's basically the same price.
A little bigger.
Yeah, I mean, the
Well, no, I
size,
mean,
size of the pipe.
you know, size, you know,
Yeah, that's
This
true.
may be a case where we can actually do something faster than what you really want. You know, that's a little oddity.
You know, we may wanna have come back and revisit, saying, first 500, 700 feet, if we do it, we give after that, you pay so much a foot or so, I don't know.
why don't you stick like a $10 labor cost in it for this one, just so we've got a labor cost, that way down the road we say that's just a negotiable.
But what did you base that on?
I pulled it right out of the air.
I know that.
I have a different name for that.
I'm not gonna lie about
But
it.
equally it works, because if y'all were already going up there, or you think you're going up there,
It'd be nice for planning
we're
purposes.
saying, we think we're going there because we're putting in a bigger line. So there must be some design to go forward. Well, the next person may come along and want it 3 miles down this dirt road that you never had any intentions of going, so that 3 miles down the dirt road does not serve the greater good.
It's not the same.
This one on this road is clearly gonna serve a greater good if you're talking about we're going there and then but we want to upgrade the line and we're paying for the upgrade because it fits.
Potential.
He happens to be in the right place at the right time because it fits into the greater scheme.
But if there was a subdivision 1,000 or 2,000 feet down the road, and that subdivision developer came in and said, I want the same deal this gentleman got, I'll pay for the 6-inch line or 8-inch line, I just want Ed to install it for me. Would you do it the same way? Would you agree to it?
No.
No,
Okay,
Don't
that's
think
what
we
I'm just
could.
making sure there's,
Scope of the work.
you gotta know the precedent that we're setting and make sure that you're gonna be able to defend that to the developer when he comes, because they're gonna want the same exact thing that you've offered somebody else.
Like this gentleman has said, that another month is not going to make any difference to him, but we need a month to kind of look at this a little closer and then have a better decision next time.
We'll do,
That's probably
if that's
smart.
okay, then Marie and I'll work on, I'll get the agreement back out, and we'll get with you guys and come up with that.
and maybe.
But our
at the
intention
next
is that we
meeting,
will
maybe kinda
move
have us a
forward.
rough,
I'll have a price.
have a figure that it's in the
He and I can
ballpark.
get together and we'll
Give
go out
us a
there
little
and see.
time, because it's the first one of these we've had.
Okay. First one's always free, isn't it?
This was always tough.
If you're 95% or greater.
But I think you can leave here today with feeling of, we'd like to get you water if you want it, and we'll work toward that if we can make it happen. I think that we'd all be in agreement with
Yeah.
what this works.
So we appreciate the
So-
way you brought it to us.
Yeah,
I
so,
appreciate your considering it.
yeah, we're not sending you home saying no. We're sending you home saying, we'll try to make it work.
Okay, that's right, I appreciate it.
and having a little time here will help. So, I think once all's said and done, hopefully you have that water when you're ready to move in your new house.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, anything else, anybody? All right, this time,
We've got the seal, just,
I got the seal.
okay,
The program's been installed on the computer for the meter read. Hopefully, I will have all the information on there. And Ed will get to use it this month for the CBDG. I'm gonna work on that if I have the time. We got $9,447 in the bank from the water
good
account.
deal. Good deal, they're coming in, huh?
One little thing, Lynn had asked me to give her some numbers on, for insurance purposes, and I would suggest, well, I'll leave it up to y'all, but most of the time, the only things you really cover are the buildings, the stuff above ground. I have seen some systems just throw everything in there, but as far as insurance is concerned, I've only priced out the stuff above ground. If that's all right with you, then that's what I'll do.
That's what I would think we would, if we were gonna insure, it'd be what's above ground.
Yeah.
I've got some.
And the only exception I made,
Heck, I was gonna
Would make
do
it-
get insurance on truck, I didn't know we was gonna get it.
well, the only other exception I would make if it was a whale, we've seen, lightning strikes hit whales and stuff, and that may be good.
I'd hate to insure a whale, if I was a company,
I'm sorry.
I'd sure hate to insure a whale. All right, if that's everything, I'd like to ask for an executive session, discuss personnel. We've got several things we need to discuss.